Welcome everybody to the Bush and Me show. We're back for another week, baby. Speaking of back, you're back in Miami. Took a little trip to Virginia. Tell everybody what you were getting into.
Man, listen, my foundation, the Visualize and Rise Foundation, we had a nice toy drive. My brother, down at the Walmart, man, in Dalvin, Virginia, it was nice, man. We was able to bless 20 kids, put them in a position that they were able to not only take care of themselves, but, it's the season for giving. So we were able to put them in a place that we could get them to take care of the people in their household. So really exciting time, not just for the kids, but for myself and the rest of the leaders of our organization and all of our volunteers in the community, man. It was a great turnout. And, the fourth one we've done back home and the 10th one we've done overall.
That's awesome, man. It's that season, and for you to be able to help the family. I was a part of a couple of them. I remember the one out in Chicago. Came out there and we helped some kids, blessed some kids with some gifts. The amazing thing I'll always remember is you gave us each two shoppers, right? And I had one kid who was trying to buy a cell phone that he couldn't even afford with the money we gave him. Was like trying to ask me if I could chip in for it.
Cheap bastard.
And then you had another kid who was making a list to use the money to buy gifts for people in his family, and that's what really touched my heart out there. So you're changing lives out there. So keep up the good work.
Well, that's all we can do. If we're fortunate to be able to do that. But yeah, so why don't you get that boy that cell phone, man?
Man, when he got up to the register, they were like, somebody owes $4.25. I was like, where's Jermon at? Hey, my kid no more. I had him for an hour. It's about an hour and 5 minutes. Nah, it was it's a good event. I paid for this.
Sure you did.
All right, let's jump into it. Last week we went head to head on locks, and I took you down with my Detroit Lions pick. You had the Vikings.
They let me down.
Was a great game. I was 2-1 overall. You were 1-2.
Yeah.
It's a new week, new energy, new games, new matchups. Let's go.
Get it.
What do you got, game one?
Game one. Ooh, let's go. Man, this is kind of the rematch that I think a lot of the NFL has been waiting for. And this is the Dolphins and the Bills. The first time the Bills played the Dolphins, they were in Miami. I was actually at that matchup. The game ended, if you remember, really poor clock management, but Buffalo really just didn't look like Buffalo in that game. If you were able to watch it or if you went back to take a look at it, I mean, these guys were cramping up. They couldn't communicate right. The game went into overtime, and it literally played into Miami's hands. It was the best scenario that Miami could have asked for. It was a ground and pound, back and forth style game. It was really exciting. But at the end of it, the Bills had no gas. Well, unfortunately for Miami, they had to deal with the Buffalo elements in late December. So it's like, what else could you be asking for? I think this is really an awesome opportunity for the Bills to kind of get back at the Dolphins, man. They're going to have to deal with everything that's going on up in Buffalo. But let's point out the obvious, man. The Dolphins and Tua haven't looked like themselves the last 2 weeks, and I believe that this will be their third loss in a row here in Miami. Like I said, between the elements in New York and the Bills' defense, how they've been playing, down the stretch, I can't see Miami going into Buffalo and getting this W. The Bills are getting 7 points, but I'm going to actually give the Bills the favor in this one. I think they're going to cover by a little bit more than that.
Revenge.
Yeah, it is.
It
is a revenge game, but this was a hard pick because it's for a team like Miami to have the success that they had been having and to lose those two last games. If they were playing at home, it wouldn't matter who it would be in the NFL. I would say they would win, but they got to go deal with Buffalo Saturday night. That's going to be tough.
For our listeners out there, I know you probably stopped listening as soon as he says Miami, and you assume that he's taking the Dolphins. He took the Bills. He did go against the Dolphins, so
yeah, I didn't want to.
Make sure you don't mix that one up when you're putting it in. Speaking of revenge, I'm going to Cleveland. Not physically. No one would ever want to go there. But I'm taking the Cleveland Browns this week against my own Baltimore Ravens. It's a revenge spot. Ravens won the first time they matched up 23-20. Ravens are just too banged up right now. Lamar's out. Huntley's in concussion protocol. We filmed this earlier, so he may play. He may not.
From the last, I don't mean to cut you off, but from the last day look, I believe he did come off of it later this afternoon. So
Right, and they did say they didn't know if he was going to play
Gotcha.
though. But Watson's getting better. It's going to be time. It's going to take time to get his timing down with his guys, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball. They kept it close in Baltimore, 23-20. Like I said, Browns were my only loss last week as well, so I'm riding them again. Can't let me down twice, can they?
It's Cleveland.
All my Baltimore fans, don't be upset. We're going to be back on track. We're going to get to the playoffs. We're going to have a home playoff game. We're going to be all right for the playoffs, but this is just that one spot situationally that's not a good spot for the Ravens. I'm taking the Browns, covering the 2.5.
That's good. That's a good, solid pick. I can't go against you on that one. That was an intriguing game, but all three of my former teams were playing, and I told you that's the matchups that I'm going to be talking about. So here we are. Listen, the Philadelphia Eagles are going into Soldier Field to face the Chicago Bears, and the Eagles are favored by 9 in this game. The Eagles had a impressive win. They played the Giants last week, correct? Against a good, solid Giants team. And listen, I think the Eagles are just going to be too much for the Bears. Drake said it. Don't think about it too much. These Eagles are going to be too much. It's going to be too much Eagles run game. Miles Sanders, 144 last week, almost 9 yards a carry versus the Giants. The Bears give up almost 5 yards a carry, man. And then you're going to throw in Hurts. It's going to be too much Hurts, man. This guy has 700 rushing yards as a quarterback this year. They got to stop Sanders. They got to stop the quarterback runs. And Hurts is passing the ball really well this year. And the thing that really stuck out to me when you look at his stats, he only has 3 interceptions. He's taking care of the football. That is championship style football, and that's the type of football that Philadelphia is playing later on in the season, and that's what you need kind of going into this playoffs. And again, sticking with the too much theme, it's just going to be too much Eagles pass offense, man. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and then you get Dallas Goedert back. It's going to be too much for a struggling Bears defense. The Eagles are getting 9, and I believe that they're going to cover this in Chicago. I believe they're too talented offense and defensively, and I don't see the Bears having some of that success, that up and down success that they have been having for a couple weeks. Not saying they were winning, but they were putting some good things out there on tape. So you tried to correct me again. I saw your face.
I was going to say, for you listeners out there, he's going against 2 of his old teams now. That's his new trend, I guess.
I don't want to keep it that way.
Eagles are tough to go against right now. They're a system beater from whatever system you have. People like to fade the public. The public keeps riding the Eagles, and the Eagles keep winning. And they keep winning by margin, so they clinched the playoffs. First team to clinch a playoff spot.
Solid.
Philly.
That's big time.
I'm going to a team that we won with big last week with Me's money moves. I had a big play on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they upset the Tennessee Titans. Jacksonville's hot right now. Not temperature-wise, but they are hot on the field, and I'm rolling with them. They're playing against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I think Dallas is going to have a good postseason. They're always competitive. Problem is they play to their competition, like you saw last week. They were lucky to win that game against Houston, but they won. Now, they have a huge game next Saturday against the Philadelphia Eagles, like you just said. Could be a little overlooked spot here. I'm not saying they're not going to try to win this game, but they might get caught off guard in the beginning. Trevor Lawrence has been playing really well, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions the last couple of weeks. Could take a lead here, and then Dallas fights back kind of like they did in the Houston game. But I'm getting 4 points with Jacksonville at home. They're hot. Give me the points. I think they're going to keep this one close and cover the number. Jacksonville Jaguars plus the 4.
I like that. It's a good, solid pick. Anytime the Cowboys can go down, I'm always happy to see that. I'm always happy to see that. And like you were saying, man, it's really nice to see some of these younger quarterbacks start to find their rhythm a little bit, and having Trevor Lawrence kind of finding his stride. He's had a little bit up and down earlier in the year, but these last few weeks, man, it's been exciting football that you see out of this guy. To my lock of the week, you obviously know the theme that we're going with here. I might as well get my who dat chant, because listen, Atlanta is coming to town. They're coming to town, and this is the biggest rivalry in the NFC South. One of the biggest rivalries in the NFC. So, listen, both of these teams coming off a bye week. Saints won the first matchup. Probably shouldn't have. Jameis pulled a rabbit out of his hat the last 8-9 minutes of that Falcons game, the first game of the season. So that's going to be exciting to see. Desmond Ritter's time in Atlanta, which for me as a player, it's always an uneasy feeling kind of going into a game because that some of those young quarterbacks, you plug and play another quarterback, you don't know what you're getting, because there's not a lot of film study out there. So potentially you can catch this guy off guard because you don't know what his tendencies are, what he's good at, what he's bad at. So you can try to exploit some of his weaknesses. So it's going to be interesting to see that. And although the Saints' record is bad, I think this is a great time for the Hoodas and those Saints fans to come out. They got to be loud, proud. It's Falcons week. So, we got to come out here and make noise, man, from the fans. But I do feel like Dalton and the Saints offense has the upper hand versus Atlanta defense. I believe it's up to Pete Carmichael, Saints offensive coordinator, to get AK in the mix a little bit more. I mean, he's the type of runner, man, that you want to get him on the edge, outside zone, press the outside of the defense a little bit. He has such good vision, but when you run him in between the tackles, I feel like you just take away from some of his value. Not much Taysom Hill in game one, so I expect to see a good dose of Taysom Hill. And I really believe that the deciding factor in this game is going to be two. Here it is, the Saints defensive line and the Saints defensive coordinators. Make it uncomfortable for this rookie quarterback back there. He comes into the Superdome. Like I said, it's Falcons week. You got to show up and show out. It's time to go out and get it after these last couple weeks where they've just been letting not only themselves but the fan base down. Saints can get after this quarterback. They can get after this offensive line. So, like I said, Saints defensive line, Saints defensive coordinators will have to, help these guys get this W this week. Saints are favored by 4.5. I believe they can pull it out by a touchdown. I'm going Saints. You knew that. You knew that. You knew that.
Went against two, but you couldn't go against the people that brought you in the league and brought you a ring.
Man, listen. I would have, but it was Atlanta. there ain't many teams that's below my boys right now. But listen, they got Marshawn Lattimore back. We just need it. We need it. We need that missing piece. Let's go. Who you got? Who's your lock?
Locky lock. I am staying local. Going about 45 minutes south to the District of Columbia, and I'm taking the Washington Commanders. Line's 4.5 up to 5 in some places. They're playing the New York Giants. Now, this is a weird scheduling spot here. These two teams just played 2 weeks ago. They played to a 20-20 tie. The Commanders were favored by 2.5. The Commanders had a 10-0 lead, and throw in the fact that the Giants missed a deep, it was over 60 yards field goal at the end of overtime, so they tied 20-20. Now you look at those numbers, it's a tie, right? But to the Giants, that felt like a loss there. They missed a field goal at the end of the game, overcame at 10-0. So not only did that loss happen, then they went to Philly last week and got destroyed. Now, and the first game of the Giants-Washington was in New York. So then they went to Philly and got destroyed. Now they got to go to Washington and play this team again. Now, Washington, mind you, played the Giants 2 weeks ago, had a bye last week, and now they played the Giants again. You don't see that very often. Giants by Giants. So you get to watch the film of what just happened, make your corrections, and use the same corrections for the same team you're playing next week. I think this is a perfect setup here for Washington. Not only that, your boy Daniel Jones, 0-9. People get on Kirk Cousins. Daniel Jones is 0-9 in primetime games in his career. This game, 8:20 Sunday night. It got flexed down there. So they're laying 4.5 and 5. Seems like a big number. I think it's that high for a reason. I'm taking Washington this game, and I'm locking it up. Love them this week. Perfect spot for them.
Hey, Washington has been playing some of the best. They've been playing some good football, man. I'm really impressed with Taylor Heineke. They should have paid that guy a little bit more money and, invested in him a little bit.
He'll get paid.
It's about that time, It's about that time. I like that pick, though. Very good pick. And I forgot they had a bye week. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen it. I've played a lot of ball in my life, Meehan, and I don't know if I've ever seen play an opponent, division opponent, take a break, and then come back the next week. Like somebody,
because you can tell everybody you spend the day after the game watching film and critiquing what you just played, and then you kind of like you're done with that. Let's move on to the next team. You have your off day, you watch your film on the next team, start to practice towards the next team. Well, they had the correction rolls right into the
bye week.
Let's use those into our game plan for the next week.
Yeah, I'd be excited to see how the Giants attack this one this week. If they're going to switch anything up compared to when they played them a couple weeks ago. It's definitely an exciting matchup, man. NFC East, man. I mean, there's some good football coming out there. Every week in and week out, it's a good matchup. It's exciting.
We didn't think we'd be saying that last year.
No, not at all.
NFC least to the NFC beast.
Right. Well, you talking week one. I mean, I thought NFC South would be kind of where these guys are, but, kind of really looking at it, man. The Phillies solid. Cowboys are solid. I mean, listen, they could get 3 teams. They could get 3 teams in the playoffs. That's wild. So it's going to be a big matchup. Sunday Night Football is going to be exciting.
Big matchup, big week. We got bowl games. By the time you see this, bowl games will be started. It's a great time of year. Hop on to Me's Money Moves. We were 73% in bowls last week. But even just as a fan, great time of year for football. We're going to let you go. It looks like, what's it, an apron? You got a cake in the oven or something?
Yeah, I got a little flour, man. Listen, when you got 4 kids, man, scattered all through elementary school, all through the elementary school cycle, there's going to be times, man, where, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your nights, some of those Netflix nights with the wife. You know what I'm talking about. You got to sacrifice some of those nights and bake a cake for one of your kids for a project. So the wife was out getting her hair done. It's good. Can't beat that. I want her to feel good about herself, so I had to stay home and bake. Like Mr. What do you call that? Stay-at-home dad. It's just one of my roles, Meehan.
There you go. The nanny must have been busy, and the butler was picking up the dry cleaning, so you had to bake.
Hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. Listen, we all gotta pick up our own slack around here.
Yeah. All right, guys. There's your picks. Hope you guys have a great week. Like I said, enjoy bowl games, enjoy NFL, enjoy family, food, whatever you're doing. We're out.
Peace.